Welcome to the first Revitalise Meets podcast interview on LinkedIn Live and other networking channels, especially on my YouTube channel for Revitalise Connecting People. The Revitalise Meets episodes are designed around identifying and finding opportunities, but most importantly, having the chance to meet with business professionals from across the globe who are going to be sharing their insights about their industry and how business has been for them over many, many years. Today, I've got the great privilege to be with a lady who I've known for nearly over 4 years, believe it or not. She was also one of my speakers at one of my early Revitalise events in Falkirk at the McDonald in Chira, and talked a lot about stress buckets and stress in general. Can you please welcome us today, the one, yes, but as always, the only, Jin Lalli. Jin, how are you
Woo-hoo.
today?
Thank you
Woo-hoo,
very much. I was
woo-hoo.
giving myself a round of applause. I'm just checking my hair in your camera. I'm like, how does that look? I'm so vain.
Hair looks lovely. Hair looks fine. Looks fine. So thanks for joining us today, Jen. I really appreciate it. It's great to catch up with you once again. And thanks for being part of this as a new sort of setup to Revitalise Meets going out on our platforms. Would you mind sharing with everybody who's watching and listening today a little bit about your business journey so far?
Yeah, I'm a solution focused psychotherapist. That's long and fancy, isn't it? What I do is I help people empty their stress buckets to eliminate anxiety, depression, fears, phobias, get more motivated, that kind of thing. And I do this in a unique way. I do this in a way that you don't have to analyze your past and dig into that and start, looking at who to blame in your past. It's about where you are now and going forward. It's about the science of how the brain works. And also, it's about one of my favorite subjects, sleep. Sleep is free therapy. So that's what I do. I've been doing this for about 4.5 years, nearly 5 now. But prior to this, I was a medical professional. I was an optometrist. And it comes from that. People think, well, what's the leap, from optometry, which is just a posh word for optician, going into psychotherapy. But there is a connection. As an optician, I used to talk to loads of people about their health, their general health. Blood pressure was always high, type 2 diabetes was everywhere, heart disease, and all these stories began in stress. So after I retired from optometry and sort of went on a sabbatical for about 4 or 5 years and was looking for other things to do, and solution focused therapy came up for me. So there is a connection. There is a connection.
It's great the way you've kept the connection, but also the business purpose all the way through that you've
Yeah.
done, even though you've kept it on point, exactly what you started with and how you followed that through and how
Yeah.
you've been helping many people with
Yeah.
that sort of area.
I think that's your personality in business. You've got to do that. They say, well, everybody knows the phrase, if you do something you love, you won't be working a day in your life.
Yes.
But, there are hard bits to business or your work. There were hard bits to optometry, but I loved it overall because it fulfilled a purpose for me as well, which is what I do now as well. So that's one massive tip I would say in business. You're not going to love every single part of it. That I hate, some of the background admin, the tech really gets on my nerves half the time, but the overall purpose, the big P in what I do is that helping people. And I'm just curious about the brain. Like, why do some people cope with stress and some people don't?
It's such an interesting fact to go into to find out how that brain actually works and how it puts it all together, all this different type of knowledge and information gets thrown into it. It's really
Yeah.
interesting from that perspective.
Yeah. The anatomy, you have to remember the anatomy of the brain is the same for everybody. So
Mm.
it's just the way it works and you're in control of that. That's what I found fascinating. So it actually wasn't the people who were struggling with stress that fascinated me. It was those people that really managed in life. And everyone's had stress, right? There's no one here that has never had a bereavement, financial stress, family stress. We've all had it. But why do some people cope and some people don't? And I strongly believe we should be studying those people who cope really well. Like, what
Yeah,
do they do? They're fascinating. So
yeah.
it's about studying them
How they
for
handle it
sure.
so well.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. From everything you've gone through, from your own challenges, how have you overcome those challenges in business over the past few years? We've all had various challenges thrown at us. without expecting it. What's been your biggest challenge, and how have you overcome that?
Biggest challenge has been getting people to understand that therapy works online. Like, this is an interaction. You and I are talking online. It works perfectly well. You don't have to be in person. And if you've got social anxiety, you don't want to go out, you hate driving your car, you don't want to come into traffic, you don't want to come into town, you want to see me and you're based anywhere in the world, you can. So although I love it, it's not been a challenge for me. I do love tech and what it can do. I know this works online, but trying to get people to understand that it will without having to see someone face to face, and the massive advantages of seeing someone online, that trying to educate people in that, I think, has been my biggest challenge as well.
And
But it works. It really works.
it's funny because there's been two camps. There was also, jumping in, there's two camps. There's
Yeah.
more the people that are happy with working online,
Yeah.
and there's many who want to get back to face interaction. They're desperate to get back to that in-person environment. But
For sure. Yeah, that applies to me as well. I mean, I didn't realize how much socializing. So I am a bit extrovert. I love socializing. I didn't realize how much I was doing that by going to a therapy room and, talking to reception staff and being interactive with people. So when we went online, which I'd always done anyway, because I have a lot of clients in Europe. When we went online, I was like, oh, this is great. It's lovely. But then I realized my socializing was down. So I wasn't actually seeing people. So although my diary has changed around now, so where my diary used to have work stuff in, and the socializing just happened, as a side effect of that. Because I'd used to meet people afterwards. Like I'll say, oh, I'm at the therapy room, but I'll come afterwards for a coffee with you. Now my diary's turned around in that, yeah, I work from home, but in my diary is all my social engagements. So meeting someone for a coffee, going shopping with someone. Oh, I've got to book that out because I'm going for this, I'm going for that. So I think, whereas I'm working online, that doesn't mean I have to do all my work online. So my networking is often in person now, as we've opened up a little bit as well. Definitely meeting my friends and socializing has all been online. Going out swimming, has been in person. Going out swimming and on all those things, I have to do it in person. So I think if you can get the balance right as a whole person, my work is online, which I love now. And actually, since the pandemic, during the pandemic, I decided to stay online. It was working so well. So that's the biggest way my business has changed. So we actually moved house because we needed more room because I want my own office. So we moved house during the second lockdown so that I could have my own office. So I work full time online now, and I've never been busier.
it's funny, you move house to get a better space.
Yeah.
Tell you what, we need more room. Don't get another office. Let's just move
No,
house completely.
just move house. I don't do things by halves, Lee. That's why.
Let's get that house. It's got a ginormous office in it. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
It's that is a stressful time as well. Moving house, I tell you, that's a stressful time.
Expensive move, hey? I was like, no, I need it. So, and then obviously I've got more room. So I've got 2 or 3 screens, more tech. I
Yeah.
want a fit out in this room now. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, it shows it can be done if you've got that mindset that you can adapt. And that's the thing with human beings. It's not about survival of the fittest. It's about survival of those who adapt to the situation around you. So in business, if you can adapt and stop railing, that's what fills up your stress bucket, railing against everything that's going on with the government, business issues, what's going on. If you can start adapting, you're going to go with the flow a lot more and keep your stress bucket empty at the same time.
It's so true. And you've actually answered the question I was going to ask about how you've adapted your business. And you've actually shared
Yeah.
that now, adapted your business to overcome where we are right now,
Yeah.
by adapting to your environments
Yeah.
and embracing it is
Yeah.
one of the big things. Well, embracing
Yeah.
what's around you.
Yeah.
So thanks
I
for
mean,
sharing that.
don't get me wrong, I hated it. Like I said, I am a social person, so I did want to, I keep checking my hair, Lee. Sorry, I'm so vain.
I know. Honestly, hang on.
And
That's my.
I didn't like it. Don't think that I went into this smoothly. I think people think my stress bucket is empty all the time. It's not. I put loads in there. I just know how to empty it. I know that can't last too long. Otherwise, it's going to overwhelm me and consume me. So, it takes work, like everything in life. But I've never been afraid of hard work.
No,
So
not at all. No, you're not.
yeah,
You're not
so
at all.
it's about getting on with it.
So talking about getting on with it
Mhm,
and talking about sharing stuff,
mhm,
could you share with everybody who's watching and listening today what your three golden nuggets
mhm,
or advice, if I can get my
mhm.
words out today, advice from your industry or from your business? What would be your top three tips?
But from my industry, for sure, I want the top bit of advice is own what you do and the way that you do it. So therapists have this, they're a bit secretive, therapists. I don't like it. Lee, it's like, oh, it's all a bit of a mystery what goes on in therapy. It's not. So I shout about it.
Mm,
And the way I shout about it, in my early days of business, I used to be quite deferential to other therapists to say that, like I said at the beginning, I believe that you don't have to go into the past. It's all about where you are and going forward. And I used to say this, Lee, I used to say, oh, there's a place for that. There's a place for going into the past. And if you want to do that, you can do that. But I don't do it. Lately, I've stopped saying that. I'm like, no, you don't have to do it. Like, just where you are now and where you want to go forward, because I know this works. My formula works. I've created great change. People are telling me I'm changing their lives. So yeah, I'm owning what I do. So therapists, own what you do and the way that you do it, and stop being secretive about it. This
love that.
mystery of what goes on in the therapy room. So, you know, everything I do, all my social media content is all about this is what goes on in therapy room. These are the questions I'm going to ask you. This is the way you can literally do your therapy on yourself. That's what I like to teach people,
Yeah,
to say, like, do it this way. So that's my biggest tip within the industry.
love it.
Start educating people about what therapy is, because it shouldn't be hard work. And I strongly believe that. So we need more PR in therapy, and positive PR. So that's my tip within the industry. Second tip in generally in business, and again in therapy, because therapists, you don't do it well. Do not underestimate the power of social media. If I said to you, there is a platform where you can advertise for free as much as you want, whatever you want, however you want, without being sweary and obscene, but you can do that if you put a bit of time into it. And it takes ages to learn. So my early posts and my content are terrible, but I did something, right? So it's about trying to get that through, keep going, be consistent. Do not underestimate the power of it. Give out content. People want content. Like, I know when I'm on social media, I want content. So I want and content about anything. I want content about recipes. I want content about, like, where am I going in Edinburgh to eat? Where's the new place that's opened? So everybody wants content. Give content. Stop talking about yourself and start helping people, which as a therapist, you are used to doing. You're in that job, but start helping. So that's my second tip. And my third tip is get a support network, whether that's networking for business, networking personally, as well. So, a lot of these things, you don't need a business mentor or a coach always. That isn't your first point of call, right? Your first point of call is your partner, your best friend, someone to vent with. We've got a group of friends who are all freelancers I met through networking, and we're all in completely different businesses. But there's 5 or 6 of us. I'm not going to say who because I'm keeping the secret. Because what we do is we go there and we vent. We're like, oh my God, this was awful. Does anybody know any help in this area? Can you help me with this? What is this networking event? Should I go to it? I'm struggling with this in my business. Can you help me? What advice can you give me? So, support network on a personal and professional level. And actually, they overlap, they mix. So my group of freelancers, we talk about, obviously personal stuff, because we're personally feeling, something negative in our business, or someone's knocked our confidence, and we're like, oh, I need to vent about this. And then you get that boost back from them. So yeah, network is huge
It's
for
huge.
me. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Jen. Everybody's watching. We've got Louisa Stewart with us. We've got Michelle Almedia with us as well. We've got Jay and
Oh
Dingwall.
yeah.
Good to see you
Know some of
today.
those names.
You're online there with us as well. So thanks for joining us and listening in. So if you are listening in, there's many others. Jen's just shared some great pointers there. Number one, education. Don't hide away. Just be you. Put it out there.
Yeah.
Number two, social media. Embrace it. because you can look at the consistency, but the big thing that Jim was mentioning is being consistent with your content, give content, and be more helping towards what people are looking for, looking for that help. And the third one, I love that one, the support network around you, because when you get that structure that's around, they're there to support and help you. But it can also be, as you just mentioned there, Jen, they can be from your industry. Some people, oh, I can't speak to them. They can't be in my support
Yeah.
network.
Of
They're in the
course
same,
they can. Yeah.
of course they can.
Yeah.
Bring them in.
Yeah.
So make
Yeah.
sure you jot those down. So, and it can also, that support network can be helpful towards personal and towards business.
Yeah.
It can gel the two together quite comfortably.
Yeah.
Some great pointers there, Jen. Thanks for
I
sharing
mean,
those with us.
the again, therapists, especially I felt in the early days, were very reluctant to talk to me. Like I couldn't connect with other therapists. Luckily, I have
Really?
now. It's taken more work. Yeah. Again, just very kind of secretive, closed industry, or feeling like, oh, you're going to nick my clients. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't see children, so it's not for me. I don't sort of speak to children. I find therapy with them quite difficult on a personal level. So I need to find therapists that will help with children because I get loads of inquiries about children. Sometimes I'll speak to people, they're not suitable for solution focused work. They want to do counseling. They need to go into their past. I'm like, well, I don't do that. But because my voice is big on social media, I get the inquiries. So connect with other therapists because we need to help each other. And then also, if you've got a problem and an issue within your business, and only someone in your business can help you, that's where you need the network. So luckily, the Solution Focused Therapist Network is brilliant. So we have clinical supervision, which is sometimes in groups, or you can have it individually. And often we go to groups, we don't talk about our challenges with individual clients or the theory. We're like, oh, right, so what do you do for marketing? And how do you get that message across? And what do you think is the best way? It's all about support, for sure. So yeah, don't underestimate that.
It's such another good point to delve into that just slightly, just to apply back to it. It's, many people forget about the gaps of expertise.
Yeah.
And there's certain areas that somebody is damn good at,
Yeah.
and there's other bits that they might not be as good at, but they can rely on those people.
Yeah.
So when you look at that mixing the same industry together, you can share the expertise, the skills, the knowledge, the information,
Yeah.
and actually elevate your business to the next level.
For sure. Yeah, I was just going to say that. So, like, imagine if I recommend someone to someone who I know is good. So, I don't recommend people unless I really know them. So, you've got to build a relationship with me first. If I recommend them because I'm in the job of helping people, if I feel like I can't help your teenage daughter because, it's just something a little bit out of my remit, once I've referred them to someone who I know is good, guess what? They're going to thank that therapist and they're going to thank me as well.
Yeah.
Because they're going to say, Jen, thank you so much. You helped me. You point me in the right direction of that person. So that person's really helped me. The next person that comes along to them, that they'll say, oh, well, you should speak to, they'll mention their therapist they went to, but you should also speak to Jen Lalli as well. She's got the network. She's got people that she knows within that, and not just this industry, other industries. So again, if my social media is doing well, or people see me at different events, they'll say, oh, do you know someone in this industry, Jen? Do you know someone that can help me with my social media? I see your social media is good. I'm like, yeah, of course I can. But again, when you're referring, be careful who you refer. So if I refer someone and they do a really bad job, it's going to reflect on me. So if you want me to refer you, build a relationship with me, show me what you do. And so people have an expectation. I know people have an expectation of me that I will have a certain standard, a certain network, and who in that network is working for you. People ask me all the time, Lee, oh, so what networkings really work for you, Jen? So what networkings would you recommend? And so I'm going to recommend the good networking, right? I'm not going to recommend the ones where, and I won't say anything. I won't say that's a terrible networking. I just won't mention them.
That's the best way to do it.
I'll just say, oh, this is a really good networking, or you should speak to Lee. Like, he's got a good networking, really variety of businesses there. So don't underestimate networking and what it does to reflect back on you as well.
Just one last point, that it takes a lifetime to build a good reputation.
Yeah.
It's a second to destroy it completely.
Like that.
And it's by
Like
somebody just saying something like, and this is something I speak about quite a lot. I talked about it last week actually as well. And it's about that mindset and that focus. But why should anybody introduce you to somebody if they don't know you that well.
Yeah.
And that is the art and the key,
Yeah.
I believe, in a networking, is that
Yeah.
Jen could be at another event or in a meeting or somewhere else, and
Yeah.
she's already spoken to yourself
Yeah.
prior. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you get this little message comes through LinkedIn. I'd like to introduce you to
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
because Jen knows exactly who you are. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people miss out from. They forget about the educational side of it. That is the
Yeah.
consistency
Yeah.
versus just selling the room. If you mind me saying
Yeah.
that again,
Yeah.
it's the education, it's nurturing the business
For
relationship for
sure.
a long-term opportunity
Yeah.
versus the short-term gain. Yeah,
And that was one thing I was going to say. Look, you're not for everybody. Like, I know I'm not for everybody, but I get on with people who will talk to me on a personal level, that will recommend me. Like I said, a lot of this is around food, that will recommend a good restaurant, that will say, oh, can we talk about Indian food? Can we talk about, because they want my advice on something. So
yeah,
you're connecting on this personal, friendly level. You're not about, here's my card, this is my business. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And that time has gone as well. That used to be, pre-pandemic, it started to change. I have been surprisingly post-pandemic, it's still the same in some places.
mm,
And I'm like, okay, men in suits that go around handing out your card, move over, because the time has changed.
it's totally
It's
changed.
about personal connection. We need more diversity out there. We need more people with different businesses, different business models that you can learn from. We need change. We're
Yeah,
desperate for change. So
yeah,
when you're coming along thinking you can network like you did 20 years ago, move over, dinosaurs. It's not that anymore. And yeah, you are going to be threatened by a 5 foot nothing brown girl. You are, because times have changed.
it's totally
So
changed.
move over.
So,
And that's what I'm here to do, disrupt in a
yeah,
good way. So many more women in business, Lee.
oh,
So many
there is
doing
indeed.
brilliant things. So many people, neurodiverse people in business, bringing this creativity that you've never seen before. Like, oh, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Just, yeah, so yeah. Again, going back to what we talked about before, adapt and move on.
adapting to it, and it's the same thing as well. We mentioned this quite a lot. Is that many people who are still in that little area of
Mm,
networking where they'll never change.
mm,
The suit and the past the business card, and
yeah,
it has completely changed within the last 2 to 3 years.
yeah,
You're still going to get an element of that one, but there's still a
yeah,
bit of prejudging before speaking to people.
yeah,
People
yeah. Of
prejudge
course,
before they even speak to you before online. And even when they get a network event, like you're saying, thinking,
of
oh,
course.
that person can't help me. And that
Yeah,
lady or that gentleman, that they can't help. And it's look past the person
yeah,
and delve into their network. Like you mentioned
yeah,
before, Jen, it's that
yeah,
support network. Delve in to find
yeah.
out who they know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't be the other extreme as well, So if you were really scruffy, swearing a lot, being unprofessional, that's the other extreme. That would put me off as well.
yeah,
However, there might be a place for that in a different kind of networking. But I think you've got the balance right. It's really friendly. I know your events. It's about talking to people, great speakers, learn something along the way, but
correct.
connect with people. So you've got to find this lovely balance in the middle. So, okay, we don't want to be suited and booted, but we can't be the other end as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a big, but I wouldn't do that in normal life anyway. I wouldn't be in that kind of environment where, people do have two extreme views
Mm.
as well. So, it's just about being polite. It's just about being human, right?
Oh, it is indeed. It is indeed. And I think uh, it's so important when you think about it as well. It's when you look at it that way. And especially that the Louisa Stewart just put something in as well. Disruption can be so helpful with the right intentions.
Yeah. Yeah, just go with that positive intention. So yeah, exactly. Louise, great. I didn't mean disrupt, like I'm going in to cause chaos. What I'm doing
Mm,
is going in to cause change, which I do in my industry. That,
correct.
like I said, what do you think therapy is? Do you think it's draining? The definition of therapy is to help you feel better.
Yeah.
I won't, you can't leave my session crying and drained. You will leave my session, I guarantee, happier than when you first came in, even if you came in the worst mood ever,
Yeah.
because
No.
solution focused therapy is about that.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
definitely is indeed, Jen. Thank you. And another one from Jan Dingwall's just put in there as well. Is powerful outlook to share, adapt, and flex
Yeah.
shows possibilities open to us all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
So true. We've talked on
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
That moves on nicely to my next question. Now, I talk a lot about self-reflection. I talk about disconnecting yourself through your working week to take time out just for you, or for most importantly, now more family as well. How do you self-reflect? I mean, do you do anything through the week? Have you got a good book that you're delving into at the minute that's giving you a bit of self-reflection?
Really good question. So people are always asking for book recommendations and, what is it that you do, Jin? You know what? There's no hack to this. It's the simple, boring stuff.
Mm,
I try to eat well. I sleep. Sleep is free therapy. And there's a really good TED talk called "Sleep is Your Superpower" by Matthew Walker. Watch that. So I I have a really good balance. I try to balance my life. I do the best I can. I am a work in progress. We all are, and that's really important to remember. I'm not perfect
mm.
by any means, but I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. I know I've been eating really badly, having late nights, drinking a little bit too much. I'm not going to feel good. But if I eat really well, have loads of water, have a good routine, I love routine. The mind in general loves routine. All that works really well. From young, I've had a really good support network. So I'm very, very lucky with my upbringing. So I'll still, my dad's 75 this year. I'll still ask him for advice. My husband is well trained to be supportive.
I like that.
And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It takes work.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I have voice that I don't need this right now. I need this. And actually, sometimes if he can't deliver, I did a post recently that where he can't deliver, I know I've got other places to go. So I had something where something really knocked my confidence. And I went to him and he went, "Oh, just forget about it." And I was like, "No, that doesn't help me right now.
That's
I
not the
can't
answer,
forget
but
about it." So I was like, "Okay, I'm not going to get stressed at you." And he was very busy with his work at the minute, so he didn't really have time. Okay, so who do I ring? Right, I ring dad. I know, totally biased opinion. I'm his favorite child. Okay, I've got, I'm one of four. I'm his favorite child. Come on. So I'm the firstborn. That's why. Like, that's it. Ring dad for an ego boost. I'm like, "Oh my God, dad, this happened." He goes, "Oh, you're the best. You're my child. How dare they? I will come next year and I will sort it out." I was like, "Oh, thanks, dad." That's what I needed. Right. So go to those places. So that's where I'm lucky, but I have made those decisions. Okay. So someone asked me recently, what goes into your stress bucket, or how full is yours? I went, "Oh, it's empty." And then for a split second, I thought that's quite arrogant to say.
Mm,
What I mean by that is I have made choices and I have made decisions that have been really hard to get where I am right now. So I made a decision to do optometry. I made a decision that degree was hard. Those professional exams were awful. You're getting, when you do professional exams, Lee, you're getting paid very little. You're
yeah.
working full time. You're studying on top of that for this final qualification. It's like, it's hard. So you
Mm,
do that. I made a choice to marry the man I did because I know he's supportive and he gets that. I'm like, right, he gets this. I I'm going to be a bit personal now. I made a choice not to have children. I decided not to have children. It's not part of my life because I want to do other things and I wouldn't be able to have done those if I'd had children.
yeah.
That's a decision I made.
Big decision as well, isn't
Big
it? Yeah.
decision, especially as an Asian female.
Mm,
Okay. That is
mm,
the, 1 year after you're married, like, "Well, have you got any good news to tell me?" People used to say, "Have you got any good news to tell me?" I was like, "Yeah, I got new alloys for my car." Is that good news? I'm like, just to put them off, like, no, it's not for us. Again, it was a sit down discussion with my husband. Like, what are we going to do? Do we want to do this? No, we want to travel. We want to move abroad. We want to do things. And I think we'll find that difficult with children. I have made a decision to move to where I am, to get my, like you said, expensive decision, move house, to get a new office. I made that decision. I decide who are my friends. I decide who's in my support network. And
mm,
that means you're deciding on not to have something else. And you have to own that decision. And
yeah.
it's the same in business. If you decide to do this, you're saying, "I'm not doing this because I'm doing this." You you can't have it all,
No. And you,
but I feel like what I've got is everything that I want.
Yeah.
So there's stuff I don't want. I don't want that. I filtered that. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm. I think it's so interesting. Again, it's a lot of people have to change their environment around them to
Yeah.
achieve their next step that they want to
Yeah.
get to,
Yeah.
or they'll just stay where they are.
Yeah.
And also, it's that having that other people around you to
Yeah.
support you, listen
Yeah.
to you,
Yeah.
and give you the action points that each person will probably be a different person in your life, in
Yeah.
your business.
Yeah.
Personally, business split between the two.
Yeah.
But you can go and ask your dad something and get a good
Yep.
response back. You
Yeah.
can go and ask your husband something, get something
Yep.
back from that. And you
Yep.
got somebody else maybe in your business circle
Yep.
that you can
That's
go,
right.
I need this as well.
Yeah.
It's nice to
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
around you,
Yeah.
especially when you look at self-reflection as well, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop complaining if you're not willing to change
Mm.
and make a decision. It comes from your choice. And your choice is this or this or this. Like, there's not always two choices. It's not very black and white. I will say that as well. You have to get creative.
Yeah.
You have to start thinking outside the box. So it's not like this. If I do this, then I'm giving up this. No, you can have a little bit of that. But you can't do, you can't run on two tracks at the same time. You have to decide what track you want. And you can diverge from that track and go off it later on or earlier. There's things you can do to change that in the future. It's not always one way, but there's some decisions you need to make and you can't keep complaining about it. People during the pandemic were sort of saying, oh, I can't work online because, if they were, I had this a lot from the finance industry. I don't know if you got it, Lee, like people were saying in finance, I can't work online because it's such a personal thing to talk to people about their finances. I went, hello, I'm talking to people about their personal mental health
Right.
online. It works great.
Yeah.
Don't give me that excuse. I'm doing it. So you can do it. Yes, it's more difficult. It's not as easy, but there's ways around it. You again, the adapt.
To adapt, but I mean, the online versus in person, there's a mixed hybrid offering now. And I've just spoken about that
Mm,
this morning in a session.
for
And it's
sure.
about how you embrace both sides of it. And I think online has its place now, and
Yeah.
online has been a massive support, ginormous support, and
Huge. We wouldn't
mental
have got
support.
through, would we, if it wasn't for that?
No, not at all. It opened up the boundaries to many people across the globe. We're
Yeah.
speaking to people across the pond and all over the
Mm,
country now because of this
mm,
this tool. I mean, what we're talking about today is being posted out
yeah.
to a wider audience that people can have a listen into and
Yeah.
share that information
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some really good points there.
And that's the other thing. So there's listening to stuff like this, but there's, people are interacting.
Yes.
So you can't just expect to, oh, well, I can't get my opinion out there. Yes, you can put a comment in the comments box now.
Put
You
it
can
in.
you can argue with my opinion. That's what I love. Listen to people you disagree with. Again, that's disruption. Create the debate, the polite debate. Unfortunately, people do it incorrectly, but there's a way to do it correctly. If
Mhm,
you've disagreed with anything you and I have said here, put it in the comments box.
mhm.
Open up the discussion, start talking, get real. I've been on interviews before. I mean, luckily, Lee, I know you, so I know we think relatively the same. But I've been on interviews before and I'm like, no, I don't agree with that opinion. And it's good. You don't have to. It's a boring discussion if you just agree on everything.
True. I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
agreeing to that one. Yeah, I'm agreeing to that one. Agreeing to that one. Thanks for sharing that, Jen. What's the next step for you in your business? What's just around the corner for you if everybody's watching and listening today?
World domination. Only joking. No, I'm getting to the point which is what I wanted a few years ago. I want to be the first name that comes to mind when people think of stress and anxiety management.
Yeah.
Whether you come on board with me as a client or you want to engage with my business or not is different. That's separate. But I want you to start thinking that, like, people think, oh, do you know Jen Lalli? Do you follow her? Do you listen to her podcast? Have you read her book? I just want to get that information out there. So yeah, knowing that not everybody will like you, that took me a long time to learn. I just want everyone to like me, but I'm not for everyone. So just owning my space in what I'm doing and saying, yeah, this is what I do. So I think it's just getting that out there a little bit more, especially, in Scotland. My next step, though, in my business is more in the sort of diversity and inclusion area and talking about mental health within diverse communities. Why don't we talk about it more? Why don't we talk about it? What surprises me is even, the generation after me, so second, third generation British Asians especially, are still reluctant to talk about that. That surprises me. But again, it might be to do with my upbringing, that I was very fortunate to have very forward thinking parents. So maybe, but I would like to bring that experience to people. The way I think is that, the young people coming through now, their parents must be my age and my generation. So why are they still not talking about mental health? Because I'm first generation, second generation on one side, British. So, and you're now third, fourth generation. Oh, I cannot tell you how much this frustrates me. So trying to create some change in that kind of area is what I'm really looking forward to do. So if anyone knows anyone or can connect me with anyone in those sort of communities, so I tend to straddle, my identity, I feel, quite well. And I know it might not go down so well in, certain fields and certain communities, but, I own what I do. So if anyone can connect me to anyone in those areas, I'd really appreciate that.
We'll get a connection from me, because what you just touched on there from a mental health awareness perspective,
Mhm.
I've got a contact that I'll introduce you via
Great,
LinkedIn after today's
great,
meeting as well. So
great. Thanks.
no problem at all. And if anybody's watching in or listening, as Jen's just mentioned there, if you've got anybody in that mental health arena,
Yeah,
from those areas that you discussed about today, please feel free to do a virtual introduction or
yeah,
just send a
yeah, for
message.
sure.
I
Yeah,
think that'd be
yeah.
really helpful. That's in there.
So
Yeah.
at the minute I'm trying to organize. I'm being asked to go on a panel discussion. I'd like to do more things like that, panel discussions,
Yeah.
radio. Again, getting content out there to open up the discussion, to say, in mental health in general, for sure. But I've been asked to go on a panel discussion based from an organisation in Glasgow called We Are Scotland. They're
All right.
about diverse creatives. But they want to talk about mental health. So they're looking for a mental health professional
Right.
from a diverse community. So we can start talking about that as well and opening up the conversation. Why aren't we talking about it more?
Yeah. Well, it's an important
Yeah.
subject, and again, it has to be embraced the right way. And
Yeah.
I think it's great that you're going to get into those arenas
Yeah.
and really delve into it a little bit further. If everybody's watching today, and thank you to everybody who's joined us as well, and just firing in the
Yeah.
comment boxes, please, if you are listening in, fire a comment in the comment box if you feel appropriate to do so.
Yeah.
We'll see even after today's recording as well,
Yeah.
especially on LinkedIn Live.
Yeah.
Jen, for people watching, what's the best way for them to make contact with you? How can they reach out and organize that virtual comeback?
LinkedIn, I love. So connect with me on LinkedIn for sure. So, and again, that's where I try to put out content. I've got my podcast. If you want to listen to what I do, it's free. It's available everywhere on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere. It's called Stress Bucket Solutions. So that's more about, the actual anatomy of the brain, how to empty your stress bucket. I've got a book, How to Empty Your Stress Bucket, as well. So,
That's a cool looking book,
it's all right, isn't it?
isn't it?
I'm very proud of that. So yeah, just connect. Drop me a message in the message box. Don't just connect. Give me a comment on some of my posts. Open up the discussion. Start disagreeing with my opinion. Let's talk about it more. That's the beauty of social media. So yeah, I love all the socials. But yeah, connect with me. Drop me an email. Give me a phone call. I don't mind.
Brilliant. And what you'll find, if you have a look in the comment boxes below this, after this interview is completed, I'll be putting in there links about what Jen's just been mentioning there before in the comment
Thanks,
area.
Lee.
You'll see all the links in there for you to connect with. And you'll also find them on the YouTube channel as well, or put it into the comics, or the description box is in there for you as well to engage with Jen from there also.
Sure. Yeah.
Jen, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for asking me. We could have talked for ages. Hey.
We could keep going and going and going. But thanks very much for spending your time with me this morning and
Thanks for
really
asking me.
delving in to find out again another layer that I wasn't aware of before. Other information that you see that you think, oh, really? Okay. And then seeing your new book as well,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
really important.
Cheers.
So thank you very much. And thank you to everybody who's joined in today, who's participated in the comment boxes. So thank you to Louisa Stewart, Ian McPherson, Michelle Almeida, and we've got Jay and Dingwall in there in the comment box as well. And there's many others who have been watching in today. As always, these Revitalise Meets interviews are designed with you in mind to help bridge the gap between connections to find the extra little golden nuggets of information between the business connections and the business professional community that we have now online with a global coverage. Please stay tuned for more Revitalise meets coming very, very soon, which will be on LinkedIn Live, usually on a Monday between 10 and 10:30. And by all means, as Jen mentioned before, subscribe to Jen's podcast, but you can also subscribe above in the Revitalise Connecting People YouTube channel to watch this interview once again and pick out the best bits from those conversations. From me and Jen, we wish you all the very best on the week that is ahead of you right now. And remember, as always, everybody, keep educating and keep helping one another. Thanks again, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.